Well, let's talk to our guest, Imam Sabah Ahmadi, who is Imam from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, known for his social media postings as the Young Imam. Very good evening to you. Do you think this is becoming an issue?
Good evening, Ian. Thanks for having me. Do you know, I want to say the points you made are so valid. I agree with you. I think by saying they is completely wrong. Look, there are individuals from religions who might tarnish the name of religion for many across the world. So to say they is completely wrong. And you're right. Look, just because you belong to a certain religion doesn't mean you should be the target of hate or abuse. And it's sad that, bearing in mind we live in a country where people are allowed to express themselves in any way they want, yet, despite this, they are targeted because they wear certain items of clothing or they practice their faith in a certain way. So I think we're singing off the same hymn sheet.
I've got you on a video screen. Our listeners obviously can't see you, but I can. And you have an interesting piece of headgear there. What's the story behind that?
So actually, as an imam, I wear a hat. Also, when we offer prayers or we go for worship, we cover our head as a mark of respect for God Almighty. And also, when I'm doing duty, I'm leading prayers or interview like this, I will wear the hat as part of my uniform, as per se. So yeah, this is one of the hats I have. What do you think of it, actually?
It reminds me of Tommy Cooper, who you're probably too young to even remember.
I haven't got a clue, Ian, honestly.
He was, how can I describe Tommy Cooper? He was a comedian who would wear a fez on stage. That was his kind of shtick. That was his thing. And he was a he was effectively a magician, but all of his tricks went drastically wrong, and he got a lot of laughs from them. But look him up on YouTube, and you'll probably find him very, very funny. But, I mean, do you get told by I was going to say your congregation? Do you use that word to describe the people who come to your mosque?
The community, yeah.
But do you regularly get reports of people who have been insulted, abused in public just because of an item of clothing that they wear, which someone automatically associates with them being Muslim?
Absolutely. And, you know, it's sad that I have to say yes to that. Look, I've been subjected to abuse growing up at school. As a Muslim, I remember in the playground at high school, me and a few of the Muslim lads were gathered together at break, as we did, and we had stones and rocks thrown at us because we were Muslim. Look, my mum wears a headscarf. She was also subjected to abuse. She'd been spat at before. And I'm sure there are other women out there who wear the hijab, who wear the headscarf, and have been subjected to abuse. And look, it's completely bang out of order. People should be able to practice their religion freely and dress how they want to dress and not worry about being attacked in the streets because they practice a certain faith and religion.
See, I would like to think that over the years we've become a society which is much more accepting of people who are maybe different to ourselves, and partly because of the modern media world that we live in, we have much more access to knowledge. We can find out more about different people and where they come from and what views they have, the languages they speak. But there's also part of me that thinks that social media has actually reversed this process to an extent, and it's so much easier now for people who have despicable views to find other people who have despicable views. I mean, Facebook, I think, is a great institution in many ways. But if you are a racist and live in a village of 1,000 people, you probably think you're the only one in the village. But then you see somebody else saying something, and suddenly you can sort of meet with your like-minded racists. And I mean, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but there is that phenomenon on social media that I think promulgates race hate.
I think you make a very valid point. I think actually the world of social media is such that people have now stopped doing their own education and they watch videos and just take on board what they want. I think it's really important to remember that, look, Islam teaches that it's a Muslim responsibility, as the Holy Quran teaches, to protect everyone of faith. And that's why I use my social media platform to educate people on social media, Instagram and TikTok, to show the true teachings of Islam and what responsibilities a Muslim has towards other people of faith. And that's not abusing them, that's not outcasting them, and that's not putting them to one side saying that they're the other. So yeah, I think social media is a source of good and it can be used to help change society for the better.
What reaction do you get on Twitter? I mean, your handle is the Young Imam. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Oh, you see, Trey's Description Act comes in here, mate. 30 years. Is that young still?
Listen, I'm trying to run it for as long as I can. You've got to cut me a little bit slack. But I'm trying to run it for as long as... Unless you've got an age where you think I'm going to change it to the middle-aged Imam, then I can work on that with you. But for as long as I can run it, you've got to support it, Ian.
Yeah, no, I think you make a point. And I mean, given that I'm actually just turned more than double your age, I think that I should probably keep quiet on this. Are you optimistic about the future and the way that people from different religions can actually get on? Because, I mean, there are so many examples of... I mean, who was I talking to the other day? I think it was a Sikh group, and they were sort of making meals for people in their community, from people from different religions. And I thought, well, that's exactly how it should be. But of course, things like that never get any publicity. It's only when we talk about negative things like this that people then probably start to get the wrong impression that everybody is like this.
Yes, I think you're right. I think, you know what, we're very fortunate that we live in a country where people can practice their faith freely. I think bringing communities together is really important. Look, this weekend we have Britain's largest Muslim gathering, the Jalsa Salana UK, where we're inviting guests who are Muslim and non-Muslim to come and see what this spiritual gathering is, which takes place in Hampshire, in Alton this weekend. And the initiatives we have there is feeding people. We're doing a drive which is Bread for Britain, where we have a bread factory on site that makes 10,000 chapatis an hour, and we're going to be distributing that bread to food banks. And I think when people come on site and they see what the true teachings of a faith is, that helps them change their perceptions, their misconceptions.
But also, isn't there a problem within religions? I mean, there are various different types of being a Muslim, for example. And I've had Muslims say to me that your branch of the Muslim faith, the Ahmadiyya branch, well, you're not a proper Muslim. And I mean, to me, that is almost as insulting as people using the word they in the wrong context.
I agree. Look, Islam teaches that only God is the judge. Only God can judge you. Look, we came to this world with nothing, and we're going to leave with nothing. Ultimately, the decision is in God's hands. And we've been taught, look, if you say you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim. And we're not here to judge anybody else, whether you're part of the Muslim community or from a different community. And that's really important to remember. Ultimately, God is the judge. And if you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim.
Thank you very much indeed for joining me. It's really interesting to talk to you. That's Imam Sabah Ahmadi, who is an imam from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association. And you can find him on Twitter or X as the Young Imam.